Hey, y'all, come on in, come on in, come on in. We're getting ready to go live on the WBNN Beverly Nation, y'all. So come on in, share this with somebody, share this with somebody, share this with somebody. Now, we're going to be talking about the Carmelo Anthony case. We're going to be talking about the Carmelo Anthony case. I have some amazing individuals that's going to be on with me tonight that's really going to shed some light on this case. I have an amazing co-host who's been holding it down with me for the last, 3 months now? So yes, y'all, go ahead and share this out and get ready for an amazing show tonight. I'm excited. You're going to get to see a couple of viewpoints. You're going to get to see this case from a couple of different angles that you may not have seen before. So come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in and be blessed. Also, if you want to donate, you're going to be able to donate to the Carmelo Anthony's fundraiser through Give, Send, Go. All you have to do is go over to Give, Send, Go / Let me get that up. Let me pull that up real quick so I can make sure I got the right one for y'all. Let me go ahead and pull it up so I'm giving out the right information before we go live on the WBNN. Before we go live on the WBNN. We're getting ready to go live in 4 minutes, y'all. We're getting ready to go live in 4 minutes. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited about my guest tonight. Okay, I got my Give, See, and Go, y'all. Y'all can donate. Y'all will be able to donate to the Carmelo Anthony fundraiser. And it is www.givesendgo.com / help Carmelo / donate. So y'all go over and donate. Every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. We're getting ready to go live on the WBNN in 2 minutes, y'all. In 2 minutes. So if you would, please share this out with someone. You never know what the next person may be in need of. We're going to be touching on the Carmelo Anthony's case and a couple other things, y'all. Mhm. You will now enter the conference. Muted. Yeah, we're getting ready to go live. We're getting ready to go live.
And welcome to another edition of a 5-year run, y'all. The Walking in Purpose program with the 2023 International Internet Radio Hall of Fame broadcast Friday. Miss Angela Thomas Smith. Now, of course, we're broadcasting live on the air from beautiful downtown Lagos, Nigeria. And straight from home since 2013 in Roslyn, Pennsylvania. United States of America. Make sure all lines are clear. Unmuted. All right. Miss Smith, are you there?
I am.
Quiet on the set for call letters, y'all. WBNN Nigeria. The time is 9:29 Eastern Standard Time.
Recording started.
Well, welcome, y'all, to Walk in Purpose with Angela. Again, we are live from Lagos, Nigeria, brought to you by WBNN Beverly Nation. Y'all, this is our 4,331st presentation of Ngozi Time Multimedia. Yeah, where the legacy continues. I am, of course, your host tonight, the 2023 International Internet Radio Hall of Fame Broadcasting Enshrinee, and your 2023 WBNN Host of the Year. Yes, that's me, Queen Angela Thomas Smith, ready to take you on another powerful journey tonight. I'm joined by my amazing co-host. Y'all have heard him over these broadcast airways for the last 2 months, holding it down with me, none other than Dwayne, as we shine light on the pressing topic, justice for Carmelo Anthony. Self-defense is not a crime. And no, we are not talking about the NBA star. This is about a Texas teenager in the midst of a headline grabbing case that sparks national debate about self defense. We are honored and we welcome three amazing, incredible guests tonight that's going to be joining the conversation. We have Dr. Sissy, Big T, and Diamond, who will be sharing their insight and their voice on this critical issue. So don't forget, we want you to join the conversation and show your support, not just for us here on the network, but your support for Carmelo Anthony. Y'all, I want you to call in to 605-562-0444. Or you can dial in at 717-734-6904. Of course, you got to press the access code, which is 546-1150#. To enter the studio, you're going to have to press £1. To join the conversation, you got to hit that star too. We want you to join the conversation live with us tonight as the legacy continue. We are Beverly Nation Strong. So settle in, invite your friends, grab your beverage, grab your notepad because you might want to take some notes. And we're going to get started just a second. If you can, you're going to hear me announce this link throughout the night because guess what? We want you to support Carmelo Anthony and his family because they have been going through a lot since this happened. And you can do that by going to make sure it's three W's now, www.givesendgo.com/help Carmelo /donate. Make sure that it says Kayla Hayes as the recipient, the person that is over this account. Make sure that is the right one because we have been had some fraudulent, devious, evil activity going on. But again, y'all, I'm excited. I'm excited to have these amazing individuals here tonight to shed light on this case. Y'all know I have been over this course of 5 years sharing about various things, various topics. Towards these last 2, maybe 3 years, I have really been focused on a lot of social injustice and a lot of things. Texas have really took my heart. For some reason, I've been focused on Texas, had an opportunity to help some individuals that have been incarcerated behind prison walls. Y'all know, y'all heard them come on the show. But this time, we're trying to keep some individuals from being incarcerated. I'm so grateful for these advocates, y'all, because they go hard. When I tell you they go hard, they go hard. They got penal codes. They got, y'all know I'm not the law person. So they got all the penal codes. I love sitting on their panels. I love listening to them to just spread their knowledge. So we're going to hear a lot of different insight tonight. I want to go ahead and bring my co-host up. I want to see if he's in the building. Dwayne, are you in the building tonight?
Hey, sis, how are you doing? Yes, I'm in the building. How's everybody doing this evening?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm great. I'm excited. I get excited every time I come on air, and then especially with the topic that we're talking about tonight, because y'all listening to y'all on those panels and hearing y'all discuss these topics and to discuss somebody's livelihood, and it's just amazing to me. But before we jump in deep and bring all of the guests in, I want you to introduce yourself again for those that may not know who you are. Let them know who you are.
Okay, I'm Dwayne. I'm actually from the crypto Berlin area in Texas. Um, I have an organization called Kingdom Worldwide, where we actually work with people with criminal cases like this to be an advocate and also just help the families with cases and situations that they have. Um, I myself have been formerly incarcerated, so I know what that looks like. Having to make those choices to stay out of trouble or get out of the situation when you don't have the backing or the finances to completely exonerate yourself out of the case. So we help out with those that are currently incarcerated now, and then also those who are going through cases and those who are actually appealing and different things of nature. So we're just an advocacy group and also a minister. And so we're trying to make sure that our people are made whole instead of inculcated into the system.
Right. Well, again, like always, I'm glad to have you here because you too have a lot of insight inside of this case. That's why I keep bringing you back. That's why I keep bringing you back. I say, let me go ahead and grab hold to this young man and allow him to be my co-host since he seemed to know a lot more about this than me, and he can help me hold down this fort. So thank you again for agreeing to be my co-host and agreeing to come on and be a part of the WBNN. Again, if you guys want to call in and ask your questions, support the network, support the show tonight, you can call in at 605-562-0444, or you can dial 717-734-6904. Make sure you press 546-1150 when it asks for your access code, and then £1 to enter the studio, and then to join the conversation live with us, you're going to have to press *2 so that you can get in queue and my producer knows that you are wanting to come on and talk. So y'all, I'm excited. I think we got a little background noise. So Dwayne, I don't know if you're stationed, if you're moving, but if you could, please try to get in a space where you can get quiet, and we can make sure that we have the best quality that we can have, so the individuals that are tuning in can hear the conversation and what we are talking about. I'm gonna go ahead and see if my first guest is here. Dr. Sissy, are you in the building tonight?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for having me on your podcast.
Of course, of course, of course. I would love for you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
I am a surgeon, and I'm in my senior year also of osteopathic medicine. So I'll be practicing in another year and a half as a psychiatrist as well. So
Wow, what a background. What a background. And sure, you have a lot of insight that you can bring from your profession, and even your new field that you're going to be going into um, on this case. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. Um, as we wait for our other guests to arrive, we're going to go ahead and jump into the conversation. So, Dwayne, since you are very versed on explaining this case. Would you please explain to everyone that's tuned in what exactly happened? Why are we here today?
Well, we're here today. Oh, go ahead. No, I'm really sorry. Go ahead. I thought you were talking to me. My mistake. No, go ahead. You were getting ready to get in. I'm going to let you go ahead and take this. There's been a lot of documentation, and a really good predictor of the future is the past, and people aren't taking that into consideration. And you had 4 individuals that approached a person looking down at their phone, minding their own business, clearly with intent. And so this case is dealing with that boy's life. And the whole investigation from day dot, from the very beginning on, was not handled by protocol in any way, shape, or form. There's just so many missing puzzle pieces, missing protocol that they didn't take from cameras, body cams being off, the police statements. And I can go on, but this is really what it boils down to. Is it's a reflection of our broken society based on color of skin, because if it would have been reversed, I believe that it would not be handled this way at all.
Exactly. Now, Dwayne, you have actually saw the video. So you had a chance to really see what took place. So if you could share with those that are listening so that they can kind of picture this in their head, exactly what took place on April the 2nd, 2025 at that Frisco ISD track meet.
Yes, ma'am. On April the 2nd, at Crocodile Stadium in Frisco, Texas, you had a track meet going on, and there were storms that day. So it was a rain delay because we had severe thunderstorms in the area. And all the kids had to shelter. So they either went inside of some of the buildings, some chose to go inside the buses and shelter. But soon thereafter, they got that clear to start preparing to start back up again. So they told the kids to, because it was still kind of rainy, not stormy. So a lot of the kids were warming up. A lot of them took shelter underneath the canopies at that time to stay out the rain until either it was time to start going or whatever. During this time, Carmelo Anthony decided to sit in the back part of the memorial canopy. They had only put up 3 canopies, total of 4, but 2 of them were one up under one school, which is Liberty, I believe. And so there were 8 teams there. So a lot of the kids were taking shelter under whatever canopy they could. Some stayed in the buses. Some were out on the field, warming up, stretching, because they were going to try to get started if the weather didn't get bad again. From the video, picking up from where Hunter spoke, as he said he was coming from, his brother, Austin Metcalf, and 2 of their friends were coming from, they stayed at the middle school and headed back toward the canopy, where Carmelo had been sitting for probably about, I would say, according to the video, according to at least about 11 minutes prior to that of them walking up. And he was sitting there with his phone, looking on his phone, minding his business. And they walked quickly up to him, up under the canopy, kind of horseshoe circled him in, and they immediately start accosting him. And as Hunter said, his brother pushed him, took his backpack through it. From the video I saw, that they actually assaulted him, 3 of those 4, and they began to assault him. He tried to get away, backed up. They pulled him back in by his sweater that he had on, a gray hoodie. And once he got back in, that's when they began to put him in a chokehold, began to beat him some more. He was able to get away again, see him back up, and he looked to the right, looked to the left, took off and went down, fell. And when he fell and got back up, you can see 3 of the boys went immediately to chase him. The 4th one which we know now as Austin Metcalf, took off to go run after him, but he stopped and grabbed his chest. He kind of startled down a little bit down the steps, as some people say, walked down like Frankenstein, and he went down to his knees. The other boys went to try to catch Carmelo, but he was too fast. He went to a coach. They turned around, and as Hunter said, he turned his head around and saw his down at that point down. They never went back to him. At that point, some coaches had started coming because Carmelo ran to a coach, telling the coach what happened. And from there, we get to this point of, where they took him into custody. They immediately charged him with murder of Austin Metcalf. And that was actually before he was actually pronounced dead at the hospital at 10:58 a.m. Carmelo, I believe, was booked and charged with his murder before that. And so we're here in this situation because the laws in the state of Texas allows anyone in the state of Texas, if you have a reasonable fear that someone is or are about to cause you bodily harm, you can use deadly force to get that individual off of you. And that's the defense laws, stand your ground, quote unquote, laws in Texas. And Carmelo tried twice to get away from them. The first time they wouldn't let him, the second time he was able to. And in that moment, somewhere in there, Austin lost his life over that hour and a half time of making it to the hospital. We're in the point right now of showing or trying to show that anyone in the state of Texas has the right to defend themselves when they have been, one, accosted, assaulted, disturbed by a group of individuals that chose violence toward you that day. And that's the reason why we're here advocating for Carmelo Anthony.
Wow. Well, we have our first caller in queue. She is our narrator for the 2025 WBNN honors. Her name is Genesis Amaris Kemp, and she is from the great state of Texas. I think she resides in Houston. So, caller number one, if you would, come on in. Angela. How you doing, sweetheart?
Good evening. I'm doing well. How are you?
I can't complain. I've been having some muscle spasms, but hey, I'm here, so I can't complain.
Well, I hope you feel better soon. I'm here listening in the background, and I wanted to support your guest, Dwayne, and I did not catch the lady's name that's also your guest, so I just wanted to let y'all know that I'm listening in.
So, are you familiar with this case since you live in the state of Texas? Have you heard about this case?
I have not. I've been quite busy with my two little ones. They're 3 and 1, so they keep me on the go.
This case has really made national it has made it around the globe. We've even had people that have joined our panels from the UK and from different places. And this isn't the only case like this that has happened in Texas. There's a lot of stuff going on in the state of Texas, boy. I'm telling you, and it's very sad because it's affecting our kids. It's affecting our kids, and they're trying to railroad our kids. Do you have a question that you want to ask? I guess my Dr. Sissy, she's from California. She's from California. She is currently in school to become a psychiatrist, I think, but she is a surgeon currently. So she's going to be given a different insight on this case. So yeah, stick around, and if you think of something, you can come back on. But before you leave, please tell everyone when is your next show.
So my next show is Friday, November 21st at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'm going to be talking about self-sabotaging as well as self-handicapping. What does that look like, and how can we circumvent it? And I did have a question for your guests. So given this case and what y'all have already talked about, what can we do to get in front of something like this, and how can we empower our children to have a spirit of discernment as well as be cognizant with what's taking place to really find the facts?
I think the best way to get in front of these things is when we see this type of stuff happen. We have the Carmelo Anthony case. We have a young man named Tristan Weekly that's in Frisco as well. It was an attempted abduction of him inside the school, in middle school, like the second or third day of the school year last year. And the school district and the police department chose to cover it up. And so we're working on uncovering that. There was also a young man named Christopher, I'm going to mess up his last name, spelled Nienhuis, I believe his name is, in Midlothian, Texas. He was confronted by a group of young men that he had some damage on his car. They had an incident before. He pulled over into a park to check the damage. They followed, and they ensued the jump. And it was several. They have the videos and everything. It was probably about 6 or 8 or 9 of them. And they began to jump him. He took out his pocket knife and began to swat. And you can see him unfolded and start swatting them away. And they actually charged him with assault with a deadly weapon because he was defending himself. And so this is the moment that we're looking at with our young people. And what I always tell parents is that we have to do better at telling our kids, one, they have the right to peace. They have a right to peace. They have a right to their own person, and they have a right to defend themselves. Next, they also have the right to pay attention to their surroundings. Pay attention to their friends. Pay attention to the people they choose to hang out with, whether they're football teammates, basketball friends you've been knowing since you grew up. You have to be aware in this day and time that anything can turn into something that may affect your life, whether that's you being incarcerated or you're not being here anymore. And so, like you said earlier, having a spirit of discernment, learning to go and do the things you're supposed to do and go home. Not worried about hanging out with the homeboys and the friends and seeing what's going on. There's a time and a space for that. Being aware when there is something going on, getting away, leaving, letting that situation happen. You can find about it on social media, but you get away and don't be around. Those are things we have to teach our kids, because if we teach our kids that they have to just sit and take something, then we're going to have more funerals than we will graduation. And so we have to be diligent with our young people of first making them aware of things around them in the situations like these, but also making them aware of the law, the rights that they do have, that they do have a right to leave home and come back the same way that they left, that they do have the right to defend themselves if someone is doing something against them, but they also have to.
Thank you so much, Dwayne, for addressing that.
Well, I think something may have happened. It seemed like every time he come on, there's always something to try to distract him. But he may have fell off, y'all. We're gonna continue that conversation again. Genesis, thank you for chiming in, and we would definitely try to chime in to your show on the 21st. Thank you for stopping by and sharing with us on tonight. That again is Genesis Amaris Kemp, and she is going to be our narrator for the 2025 WBNN Honors Program. Y'all, that's what we announce all those that have been inducted in, and then we announce our host of the year, and we're going to just be having a good old conversation on that night. So y'all make sure you stay tuned in. Again, if y'all want to call in tonight and join this conversation, we have Dr. Sissy in the building, and I'm going to be asking her her input based on her background, how she feel this case was handled at the scene and different things like that. So if y'all want to call in, you can call in at 605-562-0444 or 717 734-6904. Make sure you press 546-1150 £. Then to enter the studio, you have to press £1, *2 to get in the conversation. If you want to get in queue to join the conversation, you definitely will have to press *2. So y'all, if you have a question, if you want to chime in, if you want to know something, go ahead and dial on in. So Dwayne, are you back? Don't know what happened, but Sissy, Sissy, are you still in the building?
I am, ma'am.
So I know with your background, you could probably give us a little more insight um on this case, from a perspective that a lot of us have not heard um before. So for example, I heard them say that they were working on Austin, that they were doing they was trying to revive him and things of that nature. Now, I thought whenever there is a puncture or something like that, that you're not supposed to give compressions. Is that true?
No. So typically, when EMTs roll on site, unless they have an advanced course that they take and they're certified in ALS, which is Advanced Life Support, they're just there to stabilize the person and then bring them to a facility. So if there's anything more that needs to be done, usually it would be done by a paramedic if then a fire department was there or something, because most of them are paramedics. However, I've heard a lot of things that they're not supposed to do that, like you just said. That's really a misnomer. The EMTs will do that. There's what they call an occlusal seal that you can actually put on the entry puncture wound, which will prevent extra blood loss. However, if the damage was already done and there's so much internal bleeding, the patient, they're going to try to resuscitate him, but most likely the patient will go into what they call hemorrhagic shock. Their BP, their blood pressure will drop, and I'm imagining that's probably what happened in the ambulance.
Wow.
There's like so many. I mean, we don't know, because the footage is not being released as to the angle, if at the time, and the direction in which Carmelo Anthony was when it had occurred, to know where exactly. I'm used to talking TikTok, so you'll have to excuse me. I'm trying to talk normal now. I know we have to say poker instead of pocket knife. So it just really depends on the angle and movement to which and where it actually took place and went in. So there's two scenarios that I'm thinking what happened, and I don't know. The autopsy, once again, just like the footage, has not been released. And the first area, just to give you a little bit of, in case people don't know where the heart is located, it is on a person's left between the second and the sixth rib cage. So there's quite a bit of area that can be, if something is going through, it will hit the heart. So there's a sac around your heart called the pericardium. If it's punctured, what will happen is blood will actually surround the heart, and it won't be able to pump anymore because it's being strangled, if you will. If what they call the IVC, it's a vein that goes to your lower regions of your body, and it brings deoxygenated blood back up to the heart. If that's punctured, you're also going to have most likely damage to your liver and your pancreas. And I really kind of think it's the right ventricle that was erupted. But either way, there was just so much internal bleeding It wouldn't matter what the EMTs did, quite honestly. But the funny thing, since we're talking about all of the different questions and the puzzle pieces in this entire case, is that he wasn't transported to the nearest hospital. He wasn't transported to the second nearest hospital. He was transported to the third nearest hospital. And even at that, he should have been life-flighted. Those EMTs, they are first on the scene. They did try to resuscitate him, and that's protocol. That's great. But once knowing the situation, and of course, they're going to have his vital, wrong decisions were made, for sure.
Wow. I've heard a lot concerning this case. I've heard people say that Carmelo was guilty. So, what is your thoughts? What are your thoughts? I don't think I asked you that at the beginning, but what are your thoughts? Do you think he was defending himself? That self defense is the thing, or what is your thought?
Yes, and I do, for several reasons. First, let me just kind of backtrack a little bit. So, when you're talking about the character of a person, even in a friendship, you have to look at everything. Somebody tells you something about somebody, you go to that friend because it's out of pocket, it's out of character. So let's examine that before you even talk about the case. So the characters of the twins is of bullying, and there are several past recordings and information that alludes to just that. And so it's consistent with them. It's very consistent with them. Then you have Carmelo Anthony, who's the captain of two different sports venues, and whose GPA is, I think he's an A student. I think it was a 3.7, if I remember correctly. Who doesn't have a record or anything that's been documented like the twins of his character. And the footage, I haven't seen the footage because it was only released to a pocket number of people. I know Dwayne has. But these four people, and it was said by Hunter, me and my crew. And a crew, like a posse, okay, that's what you're referring to, approached him. Now, there were, I believe, 8 canopies that could have been put up when this rainstorm hit. At the time this occurred, only 3 had been put up. It was very fast, so they hadn't had the opportunity to do so. The boys were told to take shelter, whether it was in the bus or under the canopies. So Carmelo was not the only one from the different schools meeting at this place that were underneath that canopy. He had every right to be there, just as the other people that were there had every right to be there. The rain was coming down. These 4 boys approached him. Clearly, he was looking down at his phone, and all of a sudden he looks up. Now, if you're just minding your own business, and you know how sometimes you get involved in your phone, and so you're not really paying attention to your surroundings, when you look up to see what's happening, there's a lot of nonverbal language going on from maybe somebody having a fist and their other hand, kind of going against it, or having their hands folded like we're going to do some harm to you. Certainly, without a shadow of a doubt, he was in fear for his life. Now, after the whole entire scuttlebutt happened, I mean, because you can even see by photos, hair missing, bruises, the whole kit and caboodle, and those are just what you can see visually by that. There's a specific photo after he was brought to the police station, just of his face. That's not to mention his whole body. And, I guess my point is, the bottom line, and I don't want to get into too much, blah, blah, blah about any of that, but if you take into consideration the past that's been documented from the boys to as well as Carmelo, and then you also take into consideration the video and them approaching him, and I think it's just because of the color of his skin, because there were other boys there from the other team. They could have approached those too that shouldn't have been under that
specific canopy, but they didn't. They approached Carmelo only. And this is a result of being in fear and protecting yourself, bottom line.
Exactly. So Dwayne is Dwayne.
Not to mention,
go ahead.
Not to mention too, I forgot. They took his backpack. They took his belongings,
which had a computer.
They were down to business.
Which had his computer in it and more other stuff. But Dwayne is back, and I know Dwayne knows that he is innocent. So Dwayne, I want you to come on back in here and share with us. We just gonna have a conversation. I really want people to understand what is happening in this day and time, because you would think that stuff like this is not happening, and that the judicial system was of course, if you tune in here every Sunday, you know that there's so much corruption within the judicial system with the things that Dr. Chinchilla brings to her show and the things that she shares on this network. We know that there's so much going on. But we've been hearing a lot about what is happening in the state of Texas. And not only that, the prison system as a whole, and all these private prisons that are being ran by private, I'm not going to say private prisons, but these facilities that are being ran by private prison, and how the state is not keeping their end of the bargain. I really want to know, do you think this is playing a part in a lot of the things that are happening in the state of Texas right now? Not to mention that Mother Sierra said that they were building 3 more prisons in the state of Texas.
They are. Governor Greg Abbott a few years ago signed a contract, and they did some new laws and legislation as well in the Constitution and revamped some stuff probably about 5 years ago, to where they actually signed contracts, and not only Texas but a few other red states as well, to give these private prisons a certain amount of occupancy for the next 99 years. So they promised to have 100% occupancy at these prisons that they're building and the ones they currently have for the next 99 years. What has happened over the past 5 years is that the prison population has actually went down. Under President Obama and President Biden, they both signed legislation and did certain things to help the courts deviate people from the court system. So making it a little bit harder for people to just be charged with stuff and different things of that nature. So people are not going to prisons in droves like they used to. So with that said, a lot of these private prisons have sued the red states that they did these contracts with, because they haven't had 100% occupancy rate at their prisons. And so therefore, you see, like in the last legislature here in Texas, they actually passed different bills to make it easier for educators to get in trouble for inappropriate relationships at schools. I say it that way because if you see in the news here the past 2 months, actually the past year, you've seen a lot of teachers being caught up on the news of "I got you" for inappropriate relationships, right? And it's not that they're doing, some of them are doing nefarious things, if they are, but most of them are getting caught because they were helping a student, or they were doing this to a student, or doing this with a student. And we find that out because when we look at their court cases that they go through the system after the shock and awe of all of their news flash that they got in trouble, we find out they didn't get in trouble for the major things, the inappropriate whatever. They got in trouble for the legislation that was passed, which said if you get in trouble for anything as a teacher, then they can give you a lot of time, what they call inappropriate behavior, and you use your position in order to do it. And so that's what's happening here. And we had, just in Salina, I believe, we had 4 teachers during the past month and a half that have been arrested for inappropriate behavior, inappropriate relationships. And so they have a real big push to indict people, to charge people, and get people into the system. People like Carmelo Anthony, people like Christopher, I'm not going to mess up his name again, out in Midlothian, people like some other people that we've seen as well here in the state of Texas that have been charged with things that normally you would say, okay, that should have been something that the police should have left alone. Because there is a mutual conduct law here in Texas. So if you're in a fight and y'all mutually end the fight, the cops just really separate you and send you on about your way. But a lot of people are being arrested, and the cops are picking and choosing people and said, you were the aggressor, and we're going to arrest you. When they should have just been separated and asked to leave and trespass from the spot that they were mutually combating at, because that is a law in Texas. But you see more people of color being arrested as it's someone that's not of color that they're mutually combating with. You see people of color being charged, like Carmelo was charged with the murder of Austin Metcalf around 10:15 to 10:30 ish that morning on April the 2nd, and later Austin Metcalf being announced that or pronounced that he was dead at 10:58 a.m. at the hospital in Plano. That's on, I believe, page 4 or page 5 of the police report. And so we see those type of things that go on that tells you automatically that, one, he shouldn't have been charged early, but then two, looking at the evidence, we know he shouldn't have been charged at all, because as a person as the officer said that he told him that this was self-defense, I was defending myself, the officer was supposed to, at that point, take everybody downtown or to the jail, interview everybody, and then deal with it in a self-defense mode. That means you investigate, and if it's found that whoever did what, then you get arrest warrant and you arrest everyone. They did not do that because they already knew who Austin and Hunter Metcalf was. Jeff Metcalf was already at the scene. Jeff Metcalf was already inside the locker room when Hunter supposedly was supposed to have been crying and couldn't talk. No, his daddy told him to shut up. And you only had one young man that was speaking. Jeff Metcalf was already at the scene during this whole time, and then he grabbed Hunter and said, let's go to the hospital. Those are the things that we're dealing with here in this situation. We're dealing with the propensity of the system to fill itself, because it is very lucrative for prisons to keep bodies in. They make a lot of money, and their investors do too. And so, yes, there is a push in Texas. There is push in a lot of the red states to fill bodies into the prisons. That's one of the reasons why we're doing this whole immigration thing, because it's filling the bodies. They have kids. I think the last number I heard was like 56,000 kids without their parents inside of what they call kids camps or whatever. Right here in Texas.
Right
down south. We're down there.
Right.
And so this is what our country has become, because we're greedy about money and we don't care about life, liberty, and freedom. We just care about change in our pocket. And so we as a people have to recognize that and begin to rebut against that, because those same very people that want to keep us entrenched in the system, they do more crimes than we can even think of.
Exactly.
But they never go to jail.
And we noticed.
Our Attorney General, go ahead.
I said we noticed that within that police report, that there were a lot of discrepancy. I know you said that they had booked Carmelo and charged him with murder one before they even pronounced Austin deceased. That this just don't make sense to me. Um, and they want to say they allowed people to leave the scene. They allowed Hunter to leave, but then they want to say that Hunter was distressed and all this was going on with him, that he couldn't, he wasn't able. So what about the other kids? And I want to hear Dr. Sissy. I want to hear I want to hear her expertise, because she got um a little background in being able to identify exactly how these kids were, what should have took place. So Sissy, what do you How do you think handling of that was? And if you guys want to call in, you can call in at 605-562-0444 or 717-734-6904. Make sure you hit that access code, which is 546-1150 to enter the studio. You have to press £1, and to join the conversation live, you have to press *2. So come on, join the conversation, if you will. Sissy, did you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. Besides what was just said, that he was, Carmelo was charged with the murder of Austin Metcalf before he was even pronounced dead. And I hate using that word. Another thing is the police didn't question the boys separately. When anything goes down in any case, police and or investigators, you take individuals and you question them separately. If you question everybody all in the same, right next to each other, they're all going to jump on board with what the other person has to say.
Right.
So that's another. The police cams were off. Dwayne, jump in here.
Yeah, if you picking up off the body cams, Jeff Metcalf was already on the scene, and I can tell you that without going into detail, he stated in his own conversation online and also in video that he only lives 5 minutes away. He was called by one of the middle school coaches, not one of the high school coaches, but one of the middle school coaches, that something was going on. So I'll let your imagination run from there. But however, Jeff Metcalf was there on the scene, so he knows a lot of these cops. So of course they would cut their body cam off while he was talking to them. Another thing, if you go in the police report and you look all the way down at the end, you'll see a lot of notation that this was memorial bus or kids. These are kids that go to this school, this kids that go to that school, and they haven't grouped by bus or by school. If you keep going down, you'll never see anyone from Centennial. Not one. They did not interview not one kid from Centennial High School. They sent them all away. Only person that they interviewed from Centennial High School was a coach that stated his opinion of what Carmelo told him. And so we have to understand at that point, that's a red flag altogether. Because one thing, you do not let any witness leave the scene at all. You don't interview witnesses altogether at all. You don't allow a parent to be present in the preview of not only their child but also someone else's child while giving the interview. And I can say this because in the state of Texas, at 17, you don't need your parent or guardian there for them to interview, because technically you are of age and you are a consenting adult. And they all were 17 at that point in time. And so we have to keep abreast of all of that. So the ones that had body cam on, the ones that didn't have it, why? Because we do know that redacted names do kind of favor that of Jeff Metcalf. And then also on that note, when we get into the moment of looking at how the police moved and what happened after that, Jeff Metcalf is friends with not only the police department, some in there, with some of the higher ups in the police department, some of the captains and all those different things he went to school with. He knows from different moments from the political party. He also knows the judge. He knows the DA. They're all in the same political party. He's fundraised for them. They've had dinners together, so on and so forth. And so there's a lot of interplay here of people knowing each other and scratching each other back. Jeff Metcalf's church was very intricate in the doxing and harassing of the Anthony family and Drew Anthony at his job. A lot of ladies from the church, people from the Facebook group that they all know from, in the McKinney area as well. They all got together and just really harassed this family, and still are harassing this family, or trying to during this case. So it's a multiple amount of things that add up to a lot of things that are questionable, a lot of things that will, in time, show us exactly how evil people can be when they're trying to protect a lot. And when I say protect a lot, they're trying to protect Hunter Metcalf and also the other kids that was involved. Because once the truth comes out, as Megan Metcalf said on TikTok, she stated that she wanted people to. But when the truth does come out, because she knows that her son and those who were involved will be in a position to be charged and go to jail as well.
You say that it's a possibility that Hannah and them two kids could be charged too?
I'm going to say not a possibility. I'm going to say by a matter of law and what I know is going on with this case, that they will be charged. And the DA has been put in the corner by the work that people are doing on this case, and the work that his own legal team, I'm pretty sure they are doing on this case. And as the facts have been forced to come out, remember they said it wasn't even a video in the beginning. It was Tiffany Billion that actually went in and said, no, I live in Frisco. I know there's video. I need to see the video. And then they hit her up and said, oh, yeah, there is video. We're sorry. You can come see it. And so those things, that's what activism is. Doing the things that if no one paid attention to, would just go unnoticed. And guess what? That stuff would have been destroyed. And even if the defense later on next year said, oh, there's a video, they would just say, hey, we destroyed it because the law gives us, 90 days to 6 months to throw it out. But because of Tiffany Billion's due diligence in going and knowing that there should have been video, when they told her there wasn't, she kept pressing, and they had to give her the video. And when I heard that she was talking about her video, I immediately put my FOIA request in. And then after that, she showed other people how to do their FOIA request. And they went and put their FOIA request in. And that's how we were able to see the video. But that shows you that once the truth comes out, as Megan Metcalf says, what had happened is that the prosecution would have to lean on what they're denying everything with. And there's an ongoing investigation. And they would say, after further investigating, we noticed that there's not enough evidence to warrant charging Carmelo. They would have to dismiss against him. And they will have to charge Hunter and the others, which is at least 3 other boys. And well, actually, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say there's at least 6 others, including Hunter, that could possibly be charged based on what happened that day, because someone is liable. Hunter said that he originally told Carmelo to move. He then said that his brother had his back. He said his brother always had his back, but he was right or wrong. And his brother came and started accosting along with him and others. And so we know that there is an action that caused a reaction, and that action started with Hunter Metcalf. And he himself said that. And so he's already implicated himself in this crime. And under Texas law, if you were there in the furtherance of the crime, they first began the crime by assaulting Carmelo, and then they stole from him by throwing his bag, which he said is took the bag and drew it. Then you furthered that crime by chasing him and all these different things, and Austin died in the progression of this crime. Then everyone involved is liable for Austin's death. That's Texas law. And so since the DA opened his big mouth and said that we are going to seek justice for Austin, he said it, I didn't, then guess what he has to do? He has to seek justice for Austin. If not, he'll never get elected again, and the MAGA people will run him out of Texas. And so that's the politics at play. And guess what? We're making sure that all of the politics meet back at their house. And that's the reason why we're working so hard on this case to bring out the truth, regardless of what Sarah J. feels, regardless of what the Dallas lady on TikTok and and Bayboy and whoever else want to spew out lies and dox people, we're just going to work steadily to bring the truth out so people see it. And as Megan Metcalf said, when the truth comes out, don't worry about supporting Hunter no more because he'll have to charge.
She did say that now. She did say that. What you gonna say, Sissy?
He will. They won't do it now because this case is ongoing. But as soon as this is dismissed, and I believe it will be, they have no choice to. I just wanted to add something along with charging Hunter specifically. Him and his mother were on being interviewed, and they did a press little thing. The reporter was asking them different questions. And one of the things that came out is that when he initially when he was asked by the police, said that Austin took Carmelo's bag. But if you look in this particular video, so you know how you say things and you don't think about it. Why? Because it's the truth. You're speaking off the cuff. And in this interview, he said, I took Carmelo's backpack. So you have a discrepancy right there in his case. And this is a huge issue as far as hearsay. Spontaneous utterances such as this, they can be admissible in a courtroom because it shows inconsistencies in the witness's statement. So if they put Hunter on the stand, which I wish they would, but I don't think they're going to, they're going to perjure. He'll be perjured for sure, hands down. There's a lot of spontaneous things that he has said that have counteracted his initial statement. And if it's the truth, you don't have to have another lie on top of another lie. It's the truth. And clearly what he said wasn't the truth.
Well, they had I think they did about 3 interviews. They did about 3 interviews, and then the dad was doing a TikTok tour, and I mean he was doing the Beyonce on TikTok. He went all around to different panels. He was having I don't know what he was doing. He was going cowboy wild all over TikTok, jumping on panels, calling people the N word and everything. Right after he said that he didn't want to make it about race, he goes and he shows exactly who he is.
And so is his wife Megan. I believe that they think that they're above the law because as close as Jeff Metcalf is to Judge Roach, who issued the gag order, he's the judge in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Megan went on her social media on the Facebook recently and made statements, which she's not supposed to talk about the case, even if it's a boo. You can't. Mm-hmm. That's why there's a gag order in place. Mm-hmm. And so she clearly feels that she's above the law and it doesn't apply to her.
Mm-hmm. Sure has. She sure has. And a lot of people that they say they don't want to make it about race. And I want people to understand that we don't see race because Sissy is Caucasian, Dwayne is black. So we don't see race. We stand on right. What is right. We stand for what's right. That's what we want to see happen. We stand on the law and facts. We don't get our feelings involved, and it's not about race. We can honestly say that. So it's just a lot. The doxing and all of that. And for those that don't know what doxing is, Dwayne, tell them what doxing is. And what the state of Texas does for people that dox.
Doxing is taking information that you know, public or private, that will harm an individual, to silence or hurt or try to intimidate someone or cause pain or hurt to them. That's doxing. If there's public information out there of someone, that Sissy's a doctor, or, that I have an organization, or that I do counseling, or whatever the case may be, that's actual public information. I can disclose that. But if I'm doing that disclosure to harm said person, then it becomes doxing. And in the state of Texas, it is an actual misdemeanor unless it's proven that it's in a way of stalking or doing some type of harm, which they've done in this case, then it can become a felony. So it just really depends on what is done. Like in this case with Megan Metcalf, we use her as an example, since she is the mother of Austin Hunter. She got on TikTok and she said there's a gentleman, I just say it verbatim, that's going around saying that Carmelo Anthony was chased by the boys. She said, could y'all debunk that? And Dallas lady said, don't worry about it. We got that. That's Dwayne talking about me. And we got him. And trust me, they tried. They doxed me. They did all kind of stuff. Tried to get me locked up and everything. Well, they did. I had to burn out. And so there was a lot going on in that moment. In that's doxing because you're using my information to harm me based on you're trying to silence me or stop me from doing something that would otherwise make you look bad or whatever the case may be. In that type of doxing, it becomes a felony. And so, but if it's just doxing to where you put someone's information out to shame them or whatever, those are misdemeanors. And they're all depending on how the local jurisdiction that is dealing with it have to look at it. Where it becomes something different is when it's cyber bullying based on doxing. And that is a straight felony. I can tell you that in Texas, because we already have a gentleman that was coerced and baited into doing cyberbullying, and that was by Sarah Field, and she actually had him arrested and charged with a felony out in, I believe, Smith County here in Texas. And he's actually awaiting that situation now, which I hope he has all his evidence that he can get her locked up for baiting into it. But that's doxing in a nutshell, and it can be something as simple as nothing to where you just took public information to put it out there, all the way to something that's a misdemeanor because you expose that information based on trying to harm that person or bring harm to them or shame. And then in the case of Megan Metcalf, Dallas lady, and a few other people that I won't go through that list of naming right now, they did it to stop a truth in this case and harm the people while they did it. Everyone from Drew and Anthony and his family to Tiffany Billions to myself and others to stop us from putting out the truth because of what we saw in the video and what we dared to speak on social media. They even got my Facebook page taken down. They spent a day, Sarah Field sent a note to other people and said, Dwayne, say bye-bye to your Facebook. And that's the only one they were able to take down with my Facebook. But they tried all my social media. And so this is just how evil people get when they are trying to protect a lie instead of just allowing this truth to be. And they should have done what Jeff Metcalf said in the beginning online, that if a man knows his son is telling a lie, that man would force his son to tell the truth and apologize. So I always speak to Jeff Metcalf in his own words. Be that Christian man that you claim you are, and have Hunter Metcalf come out and apologize and speak to the masses at a live interview, just like you did the same day that everything happened on the 2nd of April of this year, and tell the truth so we can all move past this situation.
Wow.
At the very core, doxing is defamation of character and slander. And the thing is that the media, if you look in the interviews, they lead the public. If you're a true journalist, you are not biased. Mm-hmm. And even if you are, you cannot show that when you are interviewing somebody. And there's not one interview that I have seen that hasn't been leading to the public who would watch this video or footage, if you will. So they're on purpose trying to
defame the Carmelo Anthony family, and the threats to their family is off the charts. Yeah. It's just, it really boils down to privilege. And he being Jeff Metcalf, wants to keep his family name intact. And so I would imagine not only in his pocket, but bribing people to say specific things while in these interviews. It's really all just deplorable.
It is. And even on that, they have even tried to get Tiffany Bellion arrested. They've been trying their best, trying to do that. These people just have no sense of just goodness of seeing that this situation was caused by your kid. And since it was caused by your kid, to take that opportunity to do right. But instead, they set up all of these interviews. The Fox News interviewer that stays a little bit north of Frisco stated on the live, on that live interview, that his son knew the twins. Mm-hmm. His son, they didn't stay too far, they knew each other, and they knew they were good kids. This is the actual Fox News interviewer making it personal. Yeah. So the people around listening would be like, well, he knows their character. They got to be good people. That's what the Anthony family dealt with 3 to 4 hours after the situation happened at 10 o'clock a.m. that morning. By 1 o'clock, it was on Channel 8 News with Hunter and his mom, with Jeff Metcalf in the background directing. They went from there to the next day, Fox News, and then another Fox News, all in 2 days. And it's like it was a barrage of just setting the stage. Then they couldn't get past it because now Tiffany Bellion has told everybody that there is a video. So now they go and bring select people in that they know. They go to church with the Metcalf, they know the Metcalf, and they come in and whether they watch the video or not, they just said, hey, it's green. You can't really see nothing. You can't see nothing under here. They changed the depth perception of the video when they edited it down to the 11-minute moment to where people can only see so much. They said they did it because of the kids' faces. I didn't see the faces on the original video. So it's like at the end of the day, they did so much to try to discredit this moment, to isolate that family. They lied on them, told people they were spending the Give Send Go money to buy a house that they already lived in for 2 to 3 years. And they were buying cars that they already had the year previous. They were telling these people all this stuff, and those people still have yet to withdraw a dime of that Give Send Go. And people stopped giving.
And they are still spreading lies. They are still spreading the lies because if you go to Facebook, there's posts floating around Facebook right now saying that they have swindled over I want to say they saying $1 million. They're looking at pressing charges against the the Anthonys. Every time I see them, I screenshot them and I share them as fake news and I report them because that's what they are. And then I tell them that you can Google. If you Google, you can even use the AI. You can Google this stuff and it'll tell you. It'll tell you what has taken place and it'll tell you the truth. And what you have to put in is you want a biased reply because they will give you what is being spreaded around these social media sites and all of that because that's what's being shared the most. But I am inside of that group that Megan was over there going back and forth saying that Carmelo did not have he didn't belong under that canopy, that he shouldn't have been under that canopy. And everybody want to say that he was trespassing and that he was expelled. That's a couple of the things. And only thing I can tell them, I tell these people when all of this is proven not true, I said, are y'all going to be willing to come back and apologize for scandalizing this family's name? And none of them can say anything. They call me an idiot. They've called me everything but a child of God inside of that group. And it's not like I've been over there just blaring, because I just want to hear what people got to say. And I just really want them to think about the things that they're saying. These people jump over all of the assault. They jump over the theft. They jump over all of that and go straight to the poker. They go straight to him not supposed to be having a poker on school grounds and all of that. You would have never knew he had a poker if you never approached him, if you never attacked him, if you never assaulted him. Because if I'm sitting down on the bench and I'm just sitting there, because I did track. I played basketball and I did track. I was an athlete, so I know what these surroundings are like. If I'm sitting down and you walk up on me, 4 people surround me, I'm going to be defensive because I want to be like, why are y'all surrounding me? So he had the right to defend himself. You're talking about 225 pounds boys standing up in front of you. Carmelo Anthony was 160 pounds, wet, soaking wet. And you talking about 225 on this side and 225 on that side. You want to know what I would have done? I would have poked them all. Everybody that stood in front of me, I would have poked every last one of them and got out of there. Sure would have.
Not to mention the other boys that were there. The Metcalf boys were 225, but that's just those two.
Yeah, he had about that. He probably had about 600 to 800 pounds standing in front of him, depending on how big those other boys was.
Also, you not only just the two boys that were with them, but they had other people that were accomplices with them, and Carmelo saw that. And so, if you remember myself and others saying, once he did come out the second time, he backed out and he looked right. So when he looked right, he didn't go that way because he's seen other people there that was involved. And he ran to the left and ran down the trail. So he was trying to get away from everybody, not just them. Mm-hmm. He was trying to get away from everybody. And so we have to keep that in account, that day was a day, and I remember the look on his face, just looking at him from that video. And you can see the fear of God in that boy's face, that something terrible was going on up under that canopy, and that he was trying to get away with his life. You can see it. When you seen him on the perk walk, he still had that look of just like, what happened right now? When he was doing his mugshot, he still had that look on him, almost like the spirit had left his body, and he was trying to reclaim it. People just don't understand. Just looking at it in that young man's eyes, in that young king's eyes, the purity, the peace, the innocence in his life had been taken away by these bullies that decided to walk up and disturb his peace that day because of whatever they felt inside the gym and whatever they had going down. They disturbed everything innocent out of this young boy's life. I've seen the video of him at his doctor's visit, and he's just dancing for the doctor, having a good time. I've seen the videos of him at the football combine, where they're out there working and doing things. I've seen him at the practices, cheering on the rest of the defenders and telling them what they're going to do and telling the receiver what he ain't going to do that day. That's why he was the captain of the football team. I've seen him on the videos of working with Special Olympics here in Little Elm, Texas. Oh, I've seen that. I've seen him on that video doing those type of things. He saved a young person from dying a few years back. That is his character. All of that innocence is gone. It can't come back. All because these bullies that have been bullying since the 4th grade decided to invade his peace, his space. And we had a witness in the beginning that spoke out, and they threatened him. He ain't spoke since. But he said that him and his daughter, he was watching his 2 daughters, and that this young man was looking at his phone, minding his business, and these boys came over there and jumped him. Those were his words. We got the video to prove it. So at the end of the day, we have to remember this young man feared for his life without them even touching him, because you can see it in his eyes. In the state of Texas, if you just have a reasonable fear that someone will do bodily harm to you, it says they don't even have to touch you. You just have to have a reasonable fear, Texas. But they accosted him, they robbed him, they assaulted him. He tried to get away, they brought him back. They assaulted him more, and he got away. And he got away to safety so he can make it home to his family. That's what this is about. I think people are so mad on that side because he had the audacity to think of his own life enough to where he fought to get home to his parents. They would have rather him been like the young man in Arkansas, all beat up and battered, and his family was holding on to their life that he would have made it because some bullies decided to suplex him off the bleachers at a football practice. They would rather for him to be like some of these other kids that have just been beaten and battered and didn't make it. Their families had to bury them because bullies decided to beat them up and accost them and hang them like the young man in the restroom at the elementary school. That's what they wanted. They would have expected and loved that narrative that he was clinging on to life and that the twins were walking around just glorified that they gathered one. But since the story didn't end that way, and it ended that Carmelo got away, and one of theirs is gone, and I'm talking about bullies, I ain't talking about color. Now they're upset. And if you look at all the people who are fighting and upset on the other side, they're all bullies. They're bullies. By their actions, the way they doxing people, the way they're constantly always doing stupid stuff to people that have something to say about Carmelo or any other person. They're constantly bullying, constantly doxing. Those are bullies. Those are bullies. And they are upset because their bullying did not turn out the way that they normally do. But I learned a long time ago, the way you get rid of a bully, you punch them in their mouth hard enough, they leave you alone. And that's a lesson. If you keep your hands to yourself, you won't go see Jesus.
It was only a touch, though.
That's what they say. But I know what I saw. I saw them jump him. You had three of them, not the four. One was apprehensive. He was standing kind of back a little bit, and the other three were beating him up. And he kind of went close, like he was grabbing, but he wasn't hitting. So he was kind of involved, but he wasn't involved. But the other three were actively beating on and accosting and trying to hold down Carmelo. They were actually hitting each other as well. And so when Carmelo got away the first time, you seen the arm and you seen the hoodie coming back. You seen him pulling it, and he came back up on the canopy. And then that's when they got him in the headlock, and that's when they really started doing whatever. And that's when the poking or whatever happened at that point in time. And that's when he came back from under there. But yeah, they beat him. They assaulted him, and I think that every time I hear someone, but it was just a touch. No, they assaulted him. However, if it was just a touch, the state of Texas law gives you the right to kill that person if you fear for your life. It gives you the right to kill them if you just reasonably think that they're going to take your life. They don't have to touch you. They just have to make an aggressive move toward you. That's the state of Texas law. And people don't understand that. But in their moral conversation, because it is Carmelo and it was Austin Metcalf, they felt that he had no right. He should have just spit on him or talked crazy to him or went and told his mama the next day that Austin, Hunter, and their friends beat him up. That's what they expected because of their caucasity. That's the way I put it. That's the audacity of your understanding of who you are, that you have the right to tell someone else to do something.
Well, a little bird in the street said that they had like a 6-hour discipline record when Carmelo didn't have one. But then I hear in these streets, in this group that I'm in, this the Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf discussion group, people would say that he wasn't even supposed to be there because he was expelled.
Tiffany Billions actually put in a request. She was just going to actually request just Hunter and Austin's disciplinary record, but Drew Anthony asked her to do Carmelo as well because he felt that was the fair thing to do. So when she did, they came back with no record for Carmelo. So that tells you that dispels the whole moment of him being expelled. Because if he was expelled, they would have got that record and they would have gave it to him. There was no records for him, so he wasn't expelled.
Exactly.
Or suspended.
Exactly.
But for the twins, they said it would take them 6 hours to compile the record, the disciplinary records, mind, of those two twins, and that it would cost her $320-some. She paid it, by the way. And when she paid it, they then ran to Ken Paxton to say, hey, tell us a reason why we don't have to give it to her. And he did. He said that she couldn't have it because of the ongoing investigation and their minors and something else. He was bringing up all kinds of stuff. And that's the go-to. Even when I requested something simple that they give out to anybody if you ask, which was the actual booking sheet when they took Carmelo to Frisco PD, and then also when he did make it finally to Collin County jail. I asked for the bookend sheet so I can see what time they actually booked him in, so I can see my theory of when they charged him, how they charged him, all that stuff. They told me I couldn't have it because it was still an active investigation. And I'm like, what that's got to do with the bookend sheet? You gave us a police report, so I can have the bookend sheet. You know, them folks are still trying to fight and find a way to keep that away. So that lets you know that every step, because I asked for everything, and I asked for it a certain way. When they told me that I couldn't have the ME report and the autopsy report because there was an active investigation and it hadn't been given to the DA's office. So if he indicted him, I wrote him back and said, hey, he's indicted now. That means there's not an active investigation. You know, they came back to me and said, well, the DA's office is still investigating and we're still withholding it. That's what their answer was from Kim Claxton and the ME department, because they're trying to keep everything. Because if she was on the foot and Carmelo went in there and had shot up a school and everything else, we would have had that video the next day, because I know this because we had a young man that same week that this happened in April that went to Wilma Hutchins High School, and he was going to get back these guys before they got him. So he took a gun into the school when his friends let him in. He went in there and shot at these people. He didn't hit neither one of them because he was a bad shot. But once he left, he got in his car, did a social media post of how he went and did it, why he went and did it, because he wasn't going to let them kill him first. He turned himself in that night with the help of one of the organizations in Dallas area. He went turned himself in to Lucerne. That next day, Wilma Hutchins and DIFD released that footage for everybody to see the next day. The next day. Because he was guilty of what he did. When that teacher down in one of the Collin County cities had abused that little kid, as a little kid in the preschool, and she kind of threw the little kid around, tossed the little kid around, they found out that they wasn't going to indict her or charge her, so they released the video. And these were toddlers, 3, 4-year-olds. They released the video showing her throwing a little child around, laying down beside the child and everything. But this is in Collin County now, same DA, same Collin County. But they released that, and they said they can't release the Carmelo Anthony video because of what? Because it showed that Carmelo was defending himself from hoodlums that jumped him.
And that's what they do. And we know that is a pattern. And that is what they do. When you can be shown in a bad light and they can show you in a bad light. If they knew that he was guilty, they would have blasted him. They would have had the video playing. You would have got tired of seeing the video. They would have played it so much. Because guess what they did? We saw what they did when Chris Brown attacked Rihanna. They kept playing that video, kept playing that video.
Yeah, they would send it to us and ask us to play it. They would have asked us to make sure that we are doing the things we do. I think Diamond is actually saying that she's there in queue.
Brother O, do we have a 7201? 7201.
No, actually, we do not. But they might be listening online, but we do have a caller waiting to come in here.
No, she's calling her number. Her last 4 is 7201. So if she comes in, unless she's coming in on another number, caller number 2. You're in queue. Can you state your name and where you're calling from, please?
Hello, England. Hello to your special guest. This is Tiana speaking. Calling from Jersey.
Hi, Tiana. All right. How are you?
I'm good. I want to know, like, when things like that happen, is there a way to get a hold of the footage, like yourself? Like, is there any type of, does it vary by state, like what you can do, to be able to get a hold of the footage and put it out? Like, maybe, like yourself, like when if you're involved in something like that with a family or anything like that, is there a way to do that?
As
Yes,
far
ma'am.
as go ahead, Dwayne would know that.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Anywhere in the United States, you don't have to be a party to the situation. You can put in what's called a Freedom of Information Act. They call it a FOIA request or public information request, and you can just go to any municipality website. They take them by email with a person, depending on what their entity is, and you can request for that footage of them through a FOIA request, and that's available to you and anyone in the U.S. depending.
Okay. And what if somebody requests that footage, and what do you think is the best thing to do in a situation where it's not put out there? Like, what could other people do? I know you can post it on social media and to show this, but what do you think is the best course of action when people obtain the video?
Hello. Well, we just lost our guest again. I guess he's talking real heavy, Yana. You know how they do at Podbean?
Yeah, maybe you don't want nobody to know that one.
Well,
my question was too much.
Sissy, do you know? You know I don't know. Is Sissy still on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you know about the FOIA requests and stuff like that? See, I only know from hearing them talk about it on the panels. I'm not that frugal with the laws and stuff like that. I just like being an outlet. But I know you've been hanging around them too. So do you know if something like that is possible for us to just share on our own social medias and things of that nature? I would say, me personally, if it's available, because we have had access to like some of the interviews that they've been showing on these different and then some of those have been taken down and taking stuff out of it, and different things, they've been altered and edited. So we have had access to some of those, and we've been able to take some of those videos from this case and look at it and see some of the discrepancies from video to video, because like I said before, these individuals had went on interview after interview after interview, and they have really they did a Beyonce tour on TikTok. They was going from panel to panel to panel.
Right, I know, it was pretty deplorable. So if there's any records that are public, you are able to request them, unless there's an ongoing investigation, as in this case, where there's a gag order, then the county's not going to release information because the case is still ongoing. But anything that's public record, not only can you obtain it, but you can actually post it, because it's not defamation of character. It's not slandering. This is all public knowledge. With exception of, for instance, if someone had a record and you get a hold of it, which is public knowledge, but if you use it to defame someone on purpose, which will do harm to their character, that's where you draw the line. Then you're looking at defamation issues. But if you're using it to prove or disprove something in a case, you have every right to obtain that, and you have every right to use it on your social media platforms if it's not defaming.
That's correct.
Do that answer your question, Tiana?
Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely answers my question. But it's funny how, like, if they can hold their records because it's an ongoing case, look at all the people who are still locked up for a long, long time. Like at what point, would those records be available? Could it be like if something was going on for 3 to 5 years? Does that mean that those records, the video could not be obtained for that long? It just makes me wonder.
Once the attorneys obtain it through discovery, then it becomes public at that point because none of the attorneys have it. Also, people like myself who have put in FOIA requests, we can actually sue for them to release it because technically it's not covered under the gag order. What is covered under the gag order is ongoing information from people who are what they call interested parties in the case, and so those will be things that would be covered in the gag order. People like us, outside journalists and advocates and just normal Joe Blow people, if we get a hold of information through Freedom of Information Act, then that information is totally public and free to you. And so that's why they fight so hard not to give it, but they will eventually have to give it, that the body cam, all that stuff, it comes out. And you see it in big cases. You see it trickle out over time because they can only fight you so long and they can only withhold it so long until discovery is given. Once the defense attorneys have it, they can do whatever they want to with it.
Well, we have another caller in queue. Tiana, so if you would please, I want to thank you for chiming in. If you would please tell us when is your next show?
Sure. My next show will be on Friday, November 14th at 9:30 p.m. in this wonderful network, and it is The Power of Books. I am Tiana Speaks, and I will be talking about, toxic things in your life, toxic patterns, and are you the poisonous person and the poisonous people that might be around you. So thank you so much for letting me ask my questions.
Thank you for calling in. We have caller number 3 in queue. Caller number 3, if you would please state your name and where you're calling from.
This is none other than WBNN, Mr. Boston. I'm just calling in to support and let you know that I'm listening, but the reality of this is y'all already know what's going to transpire. You got a prominent Christian family, and then you got this young man who you can't even sniffle to find nothing wrong in his pedigree. But yet, this boy defended himself. But yet, nobody wants to say that the other party were wrong because of this Christian, clean, unblemished family with money.
Well, they're not unblemished. They're not unblemished because the one of the twins actually broke his daddy's rotator cuff, and he had the sling to prove it. So they not clean, baby.
Yeah, but we know that they're not going to allow Carmelo Anthony to get away scot-free. They're gonna find a way to get him into the system, whether he goes to jail or not. And I actually don't see him going to any kind of lockup. I believe that once all the evidence is produced in the system, it may very well be self-defense. But you can't go around bullying people and thinking you're going to get away, especially in the state of Texas. You're not going to do it. These Texas boys are going to defend themselves. And I'm kind of elated that this young man stood up for himself no matter what the outcome turns out to be. And yes, I do. I honestly, I read up on this young man's character, and this dude is almost squeaky clean, and this character is going to say a lot about him in court. But I honestly don't believe, even though they might not find him not guilty of murder, I honestly believe that Texas is going to turn around and find him guilty of involuntary manslaughter. So they can put that tag around his neck, because now we got him in the system. And once you know as well as I do, once they get you in the system, any little thing that you do,
well, we're not going to allow that to happen. That's why we advocating like we advocating. That's why we investigating the law. They Texas shouldn't have put these laws in places if they did not want them to be used. They just upset that the fact that they are being used by us now, and that's pretty much it. But they didn't want to make it about. They didn't want to make it about race, but we all know what it's about. We all know what it's about. So that's why we are standing. We're standing on what we're standing on, and we standing on facts. We standing on laws right now.
And that is the best weapon to use instead of us going. Let me tell you, I'm surprised that there haven't been a upheaval in Texas right about now, where we go and we march for justice, and then we
ain't doing that.
stuff. I am so glad that
no, we ain't doing that. We
so
fighting them with their law. We're using their laws that their legislation and their Congress and their state put in place. So you shouldn't have put it in place if you didn't want it to be used.
Is that with this case, they charged him with the highest that they could charge him, which is they couldn't charge him with capital murder, so they charged him with first degree murder, basically. And so with that, charging that with nothing else, they didn't charge him
with nothing else.
With the weapon. They didn't charge him with anything because they couldn't. So they cannot then go back and charge him with a lesser charge.
That's right.
So there will not be a lesser charge. They're going all in.
And he's gonna walk on this
purposely and knowingly committed this crime, which he did not, and the evidence shows. So I will state that actually this case won't even make it to trial. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Just from
I'm going to be honest. I agree with you 100%.
And I third that.
From the case and knowing the laws itself and knowing where this case is going and what's in front of us, it's probably around no later than March. This case will be dismissed, and you'll see charges on the other side. So I do agree with you that that's the norm when you're just by yourself. But since he has people that's advocating, and we have uncovered. When I say we've uncovered a lot.
He ain't playing with them.
And the DA has no choice but to follow suit in what he's charged. He was only indicted on a 1-page, 2-sentence murder charge.
Yeah.
It was just 2 sentences. 1 page on a first-degree murder charge. I haven't seen that nowhere in the United States.
Never.
Nowhere. I've been searching a lot.
They when banking what they was banking on him not having no support and having nobody behind him. He didn't realize that he was gonna have an army like us behind him, and that's what they was banking on. But they banked on the wrong one.
They should have charged him with involuntary. If they would have did that, they would have had a better chance at trying to convict him, but they did not. They charged him with murder 1. That's what they charged him with. It was first-degree murder. And since they did that, they have no other ground to stand on. They can't jump off the curb, and there's nothing else to go. They didn't even charge him with the weapon. Even at least in the case, in the Anthony case, they charged him with the weapon first, and then once the guy passed away, they charged him with the actual murder of the young man. In this case, they could not charge Carmelo Anthony with the murder weapon because it was a tool. So whether it was the folding knife or whatever it was under 5.5 inches, and then they tell you that's a tool. So it's not illegal to have, even in school. And so regardless of what the weapon of choice was, it's not a crime to the weapon. They couldn't charge him with it. So for them to jump and go to murder 1, then that tells you they were just trying to scare the family into pleading out. But they're not going to plead out. So they're going to have to.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. He's going to be dismissed.
We do no plea bargaining.
Or it's going to be dismissed because of a dismissal that's put in by the defense. Either way, this case will be disposed of by March.
He gonna be able to walk up in Morehouse and go in person. He ain't gonna have to do it from online no more. He gonna be able to walk up in Morehouse and sit in them classrooms and go without being harassed and none of this mess. His family ain't finna have to move no more. His family ain't gonna have to be doxxed no more. Yeah, all that's coming to an end. It's coming to an end. And it's because he got a village behind him.
That's what we're fighting for our young people and our older people as well that's in the truck. in the system, to not to have that despair anymore, that they have to be alone. You're not alone. Only thing to do is reach out to people like myself, reach out to people like Tiffany Billions, reach out to people that's out there helping, and we can assist you in finding the information, getting information on your case, getting you in a position to where you can get the best outcome for your case. If you are innocent, we can fight and help you get to a point where you can get those charges off of you. But that's what we're missing in the society. People willing to help.
And I'm so glad we have so many. Um, um,
Closing time. So, Jeff, I want to thank you for coming on. We're going to bring on the next caller.
caller number 4, you in queue. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, my name is Tony and I was a former co-host. And one of the things that concerned me was once I had a talk show host from another podcast. She asked me to do a show on the subject of bullying. Well, I serve my country, but the point is, I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly among the younger people, being in the service. And I will tell you, one of the most fearful things a person of a younger age will have to be concerned is being put in a position to have to fear for your life while you're shivering in your boots. And anyway, during the course of discussing all these matters, uh, the woman was so concerned until she was willing to press charges before anything occurred, it seemed like. She also had said that she just thought that maybe this younger person in her family was in fear of dying. I believe that Carmel's family is not a stranger to this, but when you have a person that's famous in your family and you're put in a position that Carmelo Anthony, I guess, Jr. was in, he did fear for his life, and not knowing that the weapon of choice, as they consider in the court, was something that was not something that indicated premeditated murder. It sounds like they should at least consider that this is not an issue of nepotism so it can get off. This is an issue of common sense, which is making sure no one takes your life that they've already been confronted earlier. I'm not saying let him off because he's a nice kid from a nice family, but considering that his life was on the line and nobody ever thought to help to come and aid him should be something that should be taken into consideration. So thank you very much, and you have a good day. And I wish him the best of luck, only because it was an issue of self-defense.
Well, thank you for stopping by, Antonio. Um, Again, she is a former host on this network. I tell you, she's one of the ones that just was around here when I first come on. She was one of the longest reigning hosts I think we had on the network at the time when I came on. Have learned a lot from her, so I definitely thank her for stopping by. We got to wrap it up, y'all. Again, I want to thank my guest, my special co-host, Dwayne. Y'all, he's been helping me hold it down. We got one more show because we got one more month. And I said that I was dedicating the rest of my shows this year to Camelo and bringing light to his case. Hopefully, be able to get Diamond on next week, maybe Big Tip, maybe next month. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll be able to get some more of these advocates that truly know. They know the penal codes. They know all of this stuff that shows that this baby is innocent. And the more that we can get it out there, the more that we can get other people involved. We also need individuals that's willing to donate to their Give Send Go fund. They have a Give Send Go fund. You can go to givesendgo.com / help Carmelo / donate. Y'all, this family has had to move not one time, but they've had to move 3 times. Not only that, the father, Drew Anthony, had to resign. He had to leave his job He was the only breadwinner in the family. The wife, she stayed home. She took care of the kids because Carmelo has 3 other siblings. So we definitely are trying to rally behind this family, trying to show them support. Our goal is to raise 1.3 million. We are stalled at 500, and I think we're at 560,000. But we're asking. I mean, if you got $5, you can donate $5. It helps. It will make a difference. Right now, we're definitely trying to come up with 3,500 so that we can get these protection orders out because they have been harassed, constantly being harassed, and there's nothing that they are doing in that county. They're not doing anything. So we're gonna take it even farther and try to get some restraining orders put on. So we are definitely trying to raise money for that right now. $3,500. I think Tiffany spoke with the lawyer. $3,500 to get these restraining orders in place because we want them to feel comfortable. We don't want these kids, these younger kids, waking up in fear of people coming to their homes because people been sending packages to their homes. People been showing up at their homes, and that's not what needs to be happening because someone decided to defend themselves and decided that they wanted to make it home to their family. So Dwayne and Sissy, we're going to do final thoughts. I'm going to start with Dr. Sissy and allow her to give her final thoughts of the show tonight. Also, if you want to share with the listeners how they can follow you, how they can support the platforms that you have, things of that nature, you're more than welcome to share that as you give your final thoughts. We're going to start with Dr. Sissy.
Thank you. Thank you. My takeaway is people have to realize that this system is broken, and the idea that you're above the law and having any type of privilege is ridiculous. And as long as I have a voice, I will continue to speak out hand in hand with anybody because I don't look at it as a color of skin. I look at it as a right and wrong issue. And you can support me. I have a page on TikTok. It's Sissy11251. And I am on different panels along with Dwayne, as well as the Crew Podcast. Thank you very much for having me.
Amen. Dwayne, final thoughts and how they can support you.
My final takeaway is that we just need to do everything we can to support each other. And if we see someone in need, see someone that needs our help, reach out, help. You don't have to do it in the open. You can do it silently. And we do need to support this family with their Give, Send, Go. So if you're able to, please give to the Give, Send, Go .com/help Carmelo, and that's with a K. And you can reach me at thekingdomworldwide@gmail.com. I am on social media at Dwayne Turnsill, and that's my social media tag on Instagram, on X, and also on TikTok. And so, again, we just need to help each other and be there for each other and support each other.
All right, y'all. So now it is that time. It is Ngozi time.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all the folks that came on Robbie tonight because it was so important for us to come on and talk about this issue. It's a young man that defended himself, and the white power structure is upset. They're angry. So what? So what? You know, that's y'all bag to deal with. So we're here to hit that bag with a bat. And whatever come out like piñata, come out like piñata. You know he's going to get off. Just let him go now before you have a national embarrassment. So it is what it is. We are here as journalists to tell the truth and nothing but that. How about that? We are Beverly Nation. Congratulations to Angela Thomas-Smith on her 74th WBNN all-time connection record with the Darlene Lawrence Championship, honoring our late great Hall of Famer. I want to thank all the folks that counted out Robbie tonight to call in. And what a wonderful and outstanding show tonight. You know, we've been fighting, injustice since 2013. And from the charter era, thank you, Antonia, back. She is the last of the charter that continues to support our network. That was a great year in 2013, where we were building our network to be the greatest internet radio network of all time. Not only did we achieve it, we succeeded it. And of course, on December 2nd, guys, for our wonderful guests, call in. It is our most sacred night. It is our 8th annual WBNN Honors. And it is provided and sponsored by Progressive Insurance. The narrator will be Genesis Amaris Kent, where we honor our Governor's Award this year, which will be given to Christine Powell, Chief. And it'll be a great night for that. We honor the most improved broadcast of the year, which is Ava Holly. We honor our newcomer of the year, which is our Rookie of the Year Award, to Unique Parker. Great year for her. And then we honor 2 people with exceptional accolades. We honor Sister Bessie Truther as an enshrinee to the International Internet Radio Hall of Fame and Lifetime Achiever. We also honor Dr. Chinchilla Janisha as an enshrinee. And at the end of our program, the moment you all have been waiting for. Our finalists this year are Wanda Walker, Dr. Huni Bakatoon, Unique Parker, and Dr. Chinchilla Janisha, with the greatest award we have here in our internetwork, which is the Anna Waddell Award winner for excellence. The WBNN Host of the Year, voted by our hosts, our peers here at this great network. And what a night, what a night, what a night. And we have some surprises. Of course, honoring Anna Waddell will be Edward Burks, and who is the partner of Anna Waddell and the Soul Twins. And that show lasted for us from 2017 to 2019 to Anna Waddell's unaliving. And what a great way to honor Anna Waddell, as we've been doing since 2017. So, join us for that on, losing my mind, right? December 2nd, our honors at WBNN, 9:30 Eastern Daylight Time. And of course, WBNN has advertised through Ngozi Time Multimedia, Pinterest, Google, Instagram, and X, Twitter, all that other Malaysian, go to Facebook. Any comments, suggestions, I want for program tonight, like they lay down, it goes with my Angie, but I come I am. Your mother and father's favorite producer, Dr. Odella Malawa Ngozi of Fort Valley University of Michigan. Go Blue and Colgate University, go Red, and Lonnie and Debbie's baby boy. Saying good night and good luck to all the folks out there on Course Radio that support us on a constant basis. And now to exceptional accolades, the 2023 Anna Waddell Award winner for excellence, the WBNN Communications Host of the Year, but an Excelsior in the same fiscal year, the 2023 International Internet Radio Hall of Fame broadcasted and enshrined. Young lady out of Anderson, South Carolina.
Unmuted.
And that would be me, Angela Thomas.
And tenured for 5 years.
Yep. I've been here 5 years, y'all. And I tell you, I could not have, y'all, we broke a record tonight. So that means thank you, Dwayne, for being my co-host. Thank you, Dr. Sissy, for coming. Because guess what? None of this would have been possible without you two and those that tune in tonight. Like always, I want to thank you guys. Y'all, I'll be back in 4 weeks. Same time, same place. We're gonna have some different hosts. We're gonna have some different guests on. I mean, y'all, same co-host, some different guests. So I welcome you to come back. And if you would, please go out, support the Anthony family by going to the Give, Send, Go and help, donate. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And guess what? You have to be the change that you want to see in this world. I am the change that I desire to see. Until next time, I love y'all. Be blessed. And that's all, folks. And that's all, folks. But guess what? We're going to stay live over here on TikTok.